Hey guys, I've been doing a project on my Ram 1500. It's a 2006, and I believe the same models were 2003 through 2010, right around that. If I have that wrong, comment below and let me know. But today we're going to do the spark plug change. I have error code P0308, so the 8 at the end means cylinder 8, so there's a misfire on cylinder 8. And you know, I think at this point, being that I bought this with 240-some thousand miles, I'm just going to replace all the spark plugs. You don't know really what you have. Whole bunch of different projects I'm going to do on this. There's some other check engine lights, so we're going to try to fix all these things, hoping it's not a transmission problem. But you know, other than that, this is what we're working with. Okay, so the spark plugs are all going to be under here. So to really be able to access them, you're going to want to remove this air intake. And that's also going to require removing the air box. So what we're going to do is take this hose off here. It's one piece of it. And then we're going to get this whole thing off, which has one bolt right here to take off. And then there's these little clips that'll just pop right out. And then we'll pull that with the top of this off. So here for the air box, there's just a few clips. So we'll unclip those, be able to pull this off. And then I will unscrew this screw right here, right down there. And then back here, we're gonna loosen this clamp that holds the air intake into the main, you know, the actual intake, the plastic box into the intake. So we'll do that now. Okay, so I removed the bolt over here and I loosened the clamp on the intake. And then also there's one clip over here, which, you know, just make sure that you know what you're doing, and if you need to record ahead of time, go ahead and record. But there's one sensor right here, so you want to disconnect this little sensor back here so you don't pull this wire out. Pull out the sensor. That from there, I should just be able to come over here and dislodge this from the little clip under here. Pull up nice and easy. There it goes. And then we'll just pull this and put it to the side. Pause.
Oh no.
So you'll see that the air intake is nice and clean because I cleaned that out yesterday. This was all gummed up and gunked up, and so I cleaned that out. Also, I cleaned out my air filter box because there was no filter in it. I don't know how anybody could ever do that, drive without an air filter, but apparently it did. So now that we have that box off, it's easy to get to your spark plugs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 back there. 5, 6, 7, 8 back there. So I may have the numbers wrong. It could be the other way around, but I'll put that up right here on the screen so you can see which is what number. But essentially here are your spark plug wires. So basically what you need to do here is you need to come to each one of these little screws or each one of these bolts. So this is a 10mm bolt right here, 10mm nut right here. We'll just crack each one of these loose. All right, so you're gonna unplug the coil pack right here, and you don't have to worry too much because these are the right length to fit, so it's not like I could put this one over there without really trying hard. And then we're gonna unscrew this whole thing. So I'm gonna spray a little WD-40 or whatever you want, some silicone or whatever, just to make these bolts easier to come off. Spray it on each one and let that penetrate, and then unscrew these coil packs. So you remove the sensor off the coil pack, then you unscrew this little screw. And once the screw comes out, put it in a safe place. And then you should be able to easily just wiggle this out. And there's your coil pack. And you can't tell visually by just looking at it if it's okay, but as far as I can tell, just visually, it looks fine to me. There's no liquids or anything like that, so it doesn't look bad. Now, deep down in there is your spark plug. You want to make sure that you've wiped down and cleaned all the areas first, because you don't want anything falling down into that hole and into the engine. That would be bad. So, pause it. And so for this vehicle, it's Champion 7318. And one thing you're going to do though for sure is to make sure that you match these up with what you have coming out. Make sure they are exactly the same size. Never just trust that you have the right size spark plug, and verify that. Trust but verify, as they say, right? So you're going to take that out. You're also going to make sure you gap them properly. And you see the number right there, 7318. When I pull out a spark plug, I'm going to make sure it's the same size. But the reason why I took the spark plugs out right now is to check my spark plug wrench and make sure I have the right size. Most of them are 5/8, which this one is. And if you have the rubber gasket in, which is what you need, it goes on to the spark plug, you unscrew it, and then it pulls it out for you, which is exactly what we want. All right, so I put my extension on here on my spark plug wrench, and I'll drop it down into the hole long enough, so I may have to go with a longer extension, and in fact I do. Okay, so you're going to put your spark plug wrench on your extension. I just checked and this extension is not long enough, so I'm going to have to get another one to get all the way down to where the spark plug is. So let me go ahead and get another extension. And with the magic of editing, I ran to Harbor Freight and got myself one of these extensions. Got a whole set, and take out the spark plug, see what it looks like. And the first plug out doesn't look bad at all. I don't think it's looks actually kind of fairly newish. I don't know, definitely not too bad. But like I said, if I have one bad plug, I'm just going to change them all. So take this out and get rid of it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Does this look like a pretty good spark plug to you? No oil on it, no major buildup or anything like that, so it looks okay to me. So now, because everything was running right on the other units, on the other cylinders, it could be a bad spark plug or it could be a bad coil. So all these coils are the same, so what I'll do is I'm going to take the coil from 1 and swap it with the coil from 8. And then if my error code changes from P0308 to 0301, then I'll know it's the coil. If it stays on 8, which hopefully maybe it'll just clear up and it might just be the spark plug, when I change the plug on there, which I'll show you once I do that, if that plug looks bad and I just replace that, then it might be that. But by swapping these coils, what you allow yourself to do is find out whether it's a bad coil or not. But this one doesn't look any worse necessarily than this one here, so I don't know that there's any issue with this, although I could be wrong. Alright, so I took out the spark plug on cylinder 8, and doesn't that look like that could definitely be the problem? It's wet, it's definitely got some nice material, extra stuff on there, for lack of a technical term, and it's definitely gunked up and caked up there, so you get that in focus, and you can see a lot of oil on there. So I could make the argument that this plug could be my problem. I don't know that 100% for sure, but it could just be because of the plug might be fine, but because it was misfiring, sediment and stuff, you know, built up on it. But the plug doesn't look good compared to the other one, as you saw, which was burning nicely. So I'm going to replace all the plugs, especially this one, and see if that doesn't fix everything. But as I said, I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I would think that that might mean that it's just the plug's not firing. Although I guess if it's not getting enough electricity, it's not firing, then it wouldn't be the spark plug's fault necessarily. It could be a perfectly fine spark plug, and it could just be the coil that's not firing, and that's why it's getting gummed up. So not sure, but I will change the spark plug out anyway and see what we get from there. Alright, so here's the second set of spark plugs. Nothing wrong with these. These ones are these are the copper ones though, and I don't know why they make copper. Why not use platinum or iridium? Copper doesn't last as long and it'll wear down faster. So there may be a little bit of wear on the electrode right there, but other than that, they're all clean except for 8, which was all soiled up as I showed you. And I just did the same thing with every single one of them. You unscrew this bolt right here, take this little plastic clip off, pull this out, and then unscrew your spark plug, pull that out, gap the new spark plug to proper specs, drop it in, screw it in by hand. I do not use the wrench to put it on until I get it all the way snug, and then you use the wrench to torque it down or to put it to a little bit tighter. But I would not use the wrench just doing it, just basically hand tight with the extension, and then just methodically go from one to the next to the next to the next on either side. There's no specific order you have to do them in. Just, you know, get them all done and do them in a, you know, a systematic order that you'll know which one's which and you won't miss. And you know, I did it 4 plugs at a time. This is interesting though. Here, this is an auto light plug, and then all the rest of these are champions. Should be no problem, but that is interesting that that one was changed when the other ones weren't. So at any rate, we'll go ahead and put this whole assembly back together and see how, you know, on top here, and then see how this thing will run after that. All right, so just remembering how this goes, you have the back of this that goes right into here. Slide that in, and then you have a clip right here in the front where this has to go into that hole. So line that up, push that down, and then that should line up where your bolt is right over here. And you just take your bolt, and drop it in there, tie that down. Then on the back, you're gonna make sure this is on tight. Make sure you got a tight air seal here. Crank this guy down. Then back here you have one sensor. Make sure you plug your sensor back in. I think it's your mass airflow sensor, but if I'm wrong, comment below. Let me know what it is. Let's put that back on. And then come over here and slide my air box back on. And then finally this hose. No particular order on this, just so long as it all gets done. After I do that all, I'll go back and double check again. This is on tight, this is on tight, sensor's on tight, it's clipped in and I heard the click. This is gonna be down tight on my air intake. Make sure that's sitting on the right spot there, and then make sure I tie this guy down. All right, so we're about to enter the moment of truth, and I did mention that we're going to see if there's any codes. So there were codes before, so to clear them, what I did was I disconnected the negative terminal of the battery, and I left that disconnected for probably a half hour while I was doing my work. You probably only need to do it for a couple minutes, but I left it for a half hour or so. So all the codes should be cleared, and let's go ahead and see what we got here. All right, so I'm going to start this guy up. All right, so I started up, and it's idling a little rough, but you know, check engine light is gone for now, which is good, and you know, we'll just kind of see where we go from there. I'm gonna take it for a quick spin and see what happens, but check engine light had been on since the day I got this car a couple days ago, and it finally went away. So we'll cross our fingers that we cleared a lot of stuff up and that it'll be running better. So I'll take it for a quick spin and see what we get.